All right, hey everybody, this is Ty Swartz with Snap Lens, educational and photography training. So today we're still driving out here backcountry in the hill country of Texas, and I think it's really cool. One of the things I do like about a podcast is, as I'm discovering, you can pretty much be anywhere, come up with an idea, and just start talking about it. So as we're driving along, I'm here with my cousin Serenity, and we are talking about photography, and she's going to go on this beautiful hike with me. I don't know if she'll like me after the hike because she'll realize how far we're actually walking. It's like a mile and a half to go in and a mile and a half to get back out. We're carrying in about 35, 40 pounds of camera equipment. I got her carrying the water and the trail mix. So she's going to have a great time. But um, for this episode, I'd like to talk a little bit about storytelling and the importance of it. With the 12 elements of a image, one of the biggest things that I learned over the years is what's the story behind the image. Now, when people look at your image, I always kind of when I teach students that I have in high school, there's always two people that's your audience. The internal audience is you. So that audience is really, why did you create this? How did you tell this story? What did you see that made you interested in creating something like this? So that to me is what is your internal story. Um, you know, as I've entered photo contests over the years, I used to get really upset because I would create these images, I would go out of my way, and I would just make it super complicated, and it would be really tough. And then I realized that the actual audience, my audience that I have for this, they don't care how hard a photograph was that you created. What they care about is what does that image mean to them? What story are they getting from that image? So um, I used to get my feelings really hurt when somebody didn't understand that I was in water up to 5 feet, taking a picture where my camera was almost surface level of a high school kid on a surfboard. I mean, oh my gosh, that was such an awesome photo because I did all this work as a photographer, only to hear a judge tell me, nobody cares. Nobody cares how hard that photograph was that you took. And it really hurt my feelings because as a photojournalist, my brain always tells me, I got to get a different angle. I got to get this. I got to do this. I got to do this. Um, but as a photographer, that's our internal struggle. What are we doing that is challenging to us, but also authentic to ourselves? I love looking at images, and I have so many inspiring photographers in my life. I mean, I think the colors that Ted Grote had, the greens and the deep greens and earth tones that he shot with. I love the way Joel Grimes photographs, and it's gritty and it's grungy, and I love the fact on how he edits and produces things. I think that Kelly and Kalina Schneider create amazing storytelling, visual stories in their images. I love their fine art technique. But also, I think the way Doug Gordon poses people is amazing. My biggest fans, or I'm the biggest fan of Jeannie Hobbs in Chesapeake, Virginia. Her ability to communicate and connect with her client is just fabulous. I mean, she can just wow and get a client to get into a pose that feels natural and they're comfortable with, even though most people have never actually been posed. And most photographers tend to just say, hey, I need you to pose. And they don't really give good direction to their clients. And so sometimes you look at some photographs and they feel um, kind of tense or awkward. And one of the things that I like about how Jeannie Hobbs communicates to people is how she communicates and how she gets people to get into poses and situations that really are nice. And that's part of the storytelling aspect is as a portrait photographer, we're trying to get somebody to get into a pose or create an expression or an emotion that goes with our what I call pre-visualization of what we want that image to look like. And that's something that you work out with the client prior to creating the image. You don't just walk out and say, okay, here's a tree, stand next to it. And there's plenty of photographers that just, hey, there's a tree, let's take a picture of it. But you have to think about, what does the average person want to see in a photograph hanging on their wall? Well, I don't want to see the tree. I really don't care about the tree. I don't care about a building. I don't care that you're standing in front of the Grand Canyon. What I care about is that person. Who is that person? How do I describe that person? How does that person impact my life? What are they doing? How are they doing it? Can I sit down and look at that image, and can I easily write out a story about that person from what I know of that person, or what I understand of that person, or maybe even what are they doing in the photograph? What are their hands doing? What are their eyes doing? What are their smile doing? Are their lips pursed? Are they smiling? Are they concentrating? Are their eyes looking at me? Are they looking away? So every detail that happens, I'm looking at, and I'm trying to create an impactful story that when somebody sees that, it's a memory of that person. This person is that memory, and it's captured forever. I used to joke around when I was younger, I'll never be that old. Well, now I've hit 52, and I'm like, wait a second, where did all those years go? And so I do show my kids my high school portrait that Ted took when I had a vision. And I tell them, I said, look, when I told Ted, hey, I want to have a tie on, Umbros shorts, and I want to wear a dress shirt, he thought I was crazy. That's not, I mean, in the 19, I graduated high school in 1991. You didn't do that kind of stuff. You didn't create scenes and things like that. You basically stood in front of something, they took your picture, and that was the depth of what your high school portrait was. So that's what I'm telling is when I show that picture to people, that's what I'm trying to explain a lot of times when I'm telling stories is, what is that person telling us in this image? And this person is the same person, 30, 40 years later, but their life experience has changed. And when I create high school senior portraits, I'm thinking, okay, you know what? You are fabulous at this age. You are amazing at this age. Imagine how you're going to feel when you look at this portrait when your child, when your son, your daughter is now graduating high school. How have you changed? How has your portrait changed? How does your kid see you differently than when you were in high school? So there's a whole bunch of different things happening within that image. So I think thoughts like that, and I really do want my kids to see my experiences when I was in high school, but also I want them to know who I am today, and always remember that at one point I made a lot of bad decisions and I had my whole future ahead of me. Now you have your future ahead of you, and I want you to have the same opportunities, and I want you to do amazing things. And those are the stories that I love to tell when it comes to shooting portraits of somebody. Is I'm capturing a moment in time. I'm capturing that person's essence that's going to be there frozen for their kids, and it's going to be generational, and there's going to be stories. And that's what is amazing about portrait photography. All right, I am Ty Swartz with Snap Lens. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen and hear my thoughts about portrait photography and storytelling, and why I find it a very interesting topic. If you do like what we're doing, we are on YouTube. You can check out SnapLens on YouTube. We also have snaplens.com, where we have educational programs, both video and written content. So it'll help you increase your knowledge and level of photography. And it's just a fun world. Not everybody has to be a professional photographer, but definitely everybody can learn how to take great pictures with their cell phones using a simple couple of techniques. You have a great day, and thank you for listening.